This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 101 of the Dressage Radio Show, brought to you by Equestrian Collections, Equisketch, and Kentucky Performance Products. I'm Chris Stafford, and my co-host this week, back in the hot seat, is Brett Parbury from Down Under. And Brett, great to have you back. And I know you have a guest with you this week, so tell us how you're doing and who you have with you.
Thank you, Chris. Oh, I have Penny Castles with me from New Zealand. She's come over for the Sydney CDI with her horse Jim Star 1, and Penny she's had a very successful start to the year with Jim Star 1. He's 10 years old and he hasn't done a lot of Grand Prix. I think that the Grand Prix at Sydney will be his sixth of his career. Penny's been in the top three. I think you won the Berkeley medal at one of the championships over there. They had Horse of the Year. She was second and third, I think. But Penny's horse with Jim Star 1 is going from strength to strength. So welcome, Penny, and welcome to Australia, first of all. And I know you're looking forward to the Sydney CDI. How have you been?
Oh, it's great. You know, I've really enjoyed being based here with Brett, and he's really sharpened me up. And I'm really looking forward to the competition this afternoon. It's going to be, it starts tomorrow. But I can see in every area of my test, he's really just picked me to pieces and lifted my game, and of course it's been great riding every day with someone at your level and above. It's really just lifted our whole game, myself and Jimmy. It's been fantastic.
Well, Penny, tell us, where are you from in New Zealand? Sorry, I didn't mention Australia. Where are you from in New Zealand?
So I'm from the North Island, which is, New Zealand's two parts, so it's the bottom of the North Island. Mm-hmm. And I've been involved in dressage for about 20 years, and my main job over in New Zealand is I'm involved with the eventers, which is the New Zealand eventing team, and I am the New Zealand coach for the high performance part of eventing in New Zealand. And as you know, you've seen on the news this morning, we've just done so well at badminton, so we're all on a big high over here. We've got, I think, what did we get? First, fourth, and 10.
Oh, she says, "What did we get?" Rubbing it into me all morning.
I was going to say that's going to be a bit painful, Brett. You certainly have reason to celebrate. For those of you who follow the sport of eventing on the Eventing Radio Show, you will know that Mark Todd won badminton for the fourth time, and right behind him was Andrew Nicholson. Had two good rides, but a very unfortunate couple of rails down in there in the final analysis. And then, of course, Caroline Powell with her Burley winner was also in the running there. You have every reason to rub it in, and I think it'd be an interesting conversation just to compare notes about the eventing dressage here on the show between you two, Penny and Brett.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Chris, because I'm sort of in charge of coaching of the Australian eventing team dressage section, and Penny's the equivalent of my counterpart on the New Zealand side. So there's a lot of banter between the two of us, and we agree that pulling these eventers into line with dressage is not easy, but I must say we both love working with them, and they're just fantastic. They have a work ethic above and beyond sports people around the world, and they're just fantastic. They're great people, great attitude, and we love it.
Mm.
Well, it's interesting. We should be talking about this, guys, because one of the things that was so evident at this year's badminton was the standard of the dressage. In fact, there was a 10 thrown out there, and you'll hear from Lucinda Green on this week's Eventing Radio Show. She was sitting in the judges' booth at sea with Anne-Marie Binder from Denmark when she gave a 10 to Piggy French, which is unheard of. I mean, you know how rare a 10 is.
Yeah.
And she said it in a way that she would just say like a 7 or an 8 or a 9. There was no like 10.
Yeah.
and the scribe actually questioned her and said, "Pardon?" But the standard was fantastic over there, and of course it was a very, very close competition. And I think it's interesting that there are more and more pure dressage coaches now that are helping the event riders with their dressage, and it is raising the bar.
Yeah, look, I think long gone are the days when the eventers despised the dressage and actually did it because they had to. The ones I'm working with are absolutely loving it, and they're so thirsty for knowledge and thirsty for tips. It's great to see that enthusiasm amongst people that have won gold medals. I mean, I was a bit daunted getting involved with them because they were so successful and had won gold medals and the likes, but they're so thirsty for tips and help. It's fantastic.
Well, I'd find the same. I'd say that they're really, they love the whole game's lifted since the flying changes and things have been introduced to the test. They really do have to start getting true collection now and all that sort of thing. And so they really are starting to understand it more, and consequently they really are loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there, Penny, because the standard is up, and the questions are very more technical now than they used to be. It really has changed the focus in the sport, of course, since we shifted to the short format anyway. But now, they really have to know about riding that flying change, and it's very interesting to watch the different standards that there are already with some of those more advanced movements. So I think we should have a show just about the raising standards of dressage in eventing. Thanks to you guys. Now, how long have you been working with the New Zealand eventing team, Penny?
Basically 20 years, but I've been with the high performance well and truly the last 3 years. We've been very, very focused since our the Hong Kong Olympics, where we weren't that successful. We really revamped the whole thing, and we've really piled a lot of time into dressage, and its payback time came last year at Kentucky, and you haven't seen anything yet.
Oh,
that's all I can say. We're very excited.
Laying down the gauntlet.
We've got the World Cup rugby to come.
This could be a very interesting year. It was your idea, this was, Brett. I don't know. You got a little bit of trans-Tasman rivalry going on there. Well, all good fun. I know we're going to talk about a few other things here on the show this week, not least of all the World Cup, which is happening as we speak over there in Leipzig, Germany. That's going to be a big competition. Not only is it the World Cup finals for dressage, but also for show jumping, for vaulting and driving as well. You probably wish you were over there just for the fun of it, don't you guys?
Yeah, it'll be fantastic. The first time the World Cup's been put together under one roof. And Leipzig, of what I hear, is just a fantastic venue. So I think it'll be fantastic. It'll be probably the biggest spectacle of the year, I think.
It will, and we're going to preview some of those combinations a little bit later on. But let's just take a quick commercial break. Many riders that started their riding in other disciplines migrate towards dressage as they mature as riders, physically, emotionally, and intellectually. Dressage becomes more attractive, and at every stage in their life, riders are looking to wear appropriate apparel that has often been designed specifically for the sport. Style and functionality are important, as is a certain level of attention to detail and quality. For this reason, there is no better choice than to shop at Equestrian Collections. Their selection is unmatched, with the best names in riding attire. For all your riding and stable choices, be sure to visit equestriancollections.com. Well, Brett, since we last spoke, you had the Sydney CDI. Were you over there for that too, Penny?
No.
Actually, they had the Melbourne CDI in March, and then the Sydney CDI is this week.
Oh, the Sydney CDI is this week. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Melbourne then, aren't I?
Yeah, you're thinking of Melbourne. So Penny has come over for this year for the Sydney CDI. It's the biggest event for us in Australia, and it's the biggest event virtually for the Southern Hemisphere, I suppose you'd say. Yeah, and there's quite a few. Who else has come over, Penny? There's yourself,
Vanessa Way's Grand Prix, and then there's a couple of Prince St George horses and a couple of young rider horses. It's a big trip. I mean, we have to fly, of course, and drive the length of the country. So it's a couple of days to get here, and it's quite a bit of money as well. So you pick the biggest ones to aim for, and this is it.
Yeah, so we go up this afternoon. We Victory Salute, my horse, and Penny's horse, Jim Star 1, we'll truck them up this afternoon. And the trot up is tomorrow, and the vet check, and then we're into it on Thursday. Thursday Grand Prix, Friday Special, and Saturday night the Cur.
And now, what's your plans then? What are you riding? Just the one horse, or do you have a number of horses, Brett?
I'll be taking Victory Salute for the Grand Prix, which it's the last time we'll be doing the Cur from Kentucky. So we're doing a bit of a send off to that Cur as we sort of prepare and work on another Cur for our build up for London. I'll be taking 2 younger horses, a new one that we bought out of Queensland, and DP Weltmeiser. Both horses have been very successful in it's our advanced level, which is the equivalent to the S level in Germany or Z level in Holland. It's the level just before Prix St George into 1. Both horses could probably go Prix St George into 1, but I've kept them in advance because they're both young. So I'll take those up as well, and just to keep me busy in between the Grand Prix.
Absolutely. So now you mentioned you have to, Penny, make the trip over from New Zealand, which is not exactly down the road. There is a cost involved. You have to fly. You fly from Auckland to Sydney, do you, when you bring your horses over?
Yeah, that's right.
And then you base yourself with Brett there. But there's a lot of travelling involved. I mean, they're all big distances over there, aren't they?
Oh, I think probably you are further, but in our own country it's not that far. In Australia, of course, there's huge distances, but to get here is it's a big cost of time and everything. But you're coming, and it's all part of the journey. And it's I thought, well, if I'm coming over, I might as well ace myself with the best and get sharpened up and try and lift my score 2 or 3%. And I believe Brett's done that for me, so it's like we're saying, bring it on.
We've just been working on parts of the test that I thought.
I did a work and show a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? So you could see me competing and see me under a bit of pressure. I had to follow him. He took Victory Salute out for a little pre-run, the first time since he's come back from Kentucky, and slow me down. I had to follow him. Terrifying.
And I got the chance to watch Penny in the ring and just saw some things that I thought we could improve. Not big things, and we haven't changed a lot. What we've tried to do is just make sure there are no 6s or minimum of 6s, and just try to work on building everything to a 7. And the horse is responding really well, and Penny's responding well, and we'll test it in the ring on Thursday.
We've talked about you making that journey over to Australia, for this particular competition, Penny. But are you short of that kind of level of competition in New Zealand? I mean, does it mean you have to? Is it a bit like when you live in England, you really have to go to the mainland to get that exposure to that level of competition?
Oh, you do. I mean, you do. We have to come over here and compete against the Australians to see where we are on the. It's the beginning of getting onto the world stage. So if we can't foot it with them, I mean, I personally think it's pointless going further. So I've come over here to just put myself in the environment and see where we're at, and then go from there, really. Yeah.
And who would be the judges there this weekend, Brett?
Oh, good question.
Do you get any from Europe?
Seafried. Yeah, there are judges coming from Europe now. I'm not exactly sure who they are.
Alison King's one.
So Alison King from Hong Kong. We'll have Mary Seafried, Susie Huvenaz. They're two of our top judges. I think there's a Korean judge, one of the Koreans. And then I'm not too sure who the Europeans are. I think, I'd only be guessing.
So tell us exactly,
familiarise myself.
Where exactly is the CDI held?
It's at the 2000 Olympic venue. We call it the Sydney International Equestrian Centre.
Oh, at Horsley Park?
At Horsley Park. Okay. It's a legacy left behind by the Olympics, and it's a fantastic venue. really is. It's absolute world class, and Tony Venhouse and her team run a world class event. I mean, it's a very, very well run professional event, and really sets the benchmark here in Australia for events.
Well, we definitely should give a shout out to Tony and France, of course, because they're big fans of the Dressage radio show. We often hear from them, and so I'm glad you mentioned them, because they put so much into the sport over there in Australia, don't they?
Oh, they do. Without Franz and Tony, the sport wouldn't be where it is today, and we have them to thank for it. They're just absolute workers at getting the sport and lifting the profile. So, yeah, it's a real credit to them, and we have them to thank for it.
So that all happens this week. At the same time, of course, the World Cup finals, as we mentioned, happening in Leipzig, Germany. So I want to talk to you both about those combinations that you've been watching and how they're prepared for this final, which, of course, is always very hotly contested. But let's just take another quick commercial break before we do that. Equisketch is a great new company dedicated to providing the best mobile apps for every rider. Each app has been designed to be used by riders of all ages and all levels of experience. With Equisketch Dressage, you can replace your dressage paper or dry erase boards and begin learning all your dressage tests on your iPhone or iPad. The Equisketch board allows you to study in a flashcard style by hiding the step instructions while visualizing their location in the arena. Every test can also be viewed in a written format and later shared with your dressage students or fellow riders. Equisketch Records allows you to manage all your horses and shows on the go. Track every medication, vet visit, dental exam, farrier work and much more, complete with built-in reminders. Equisketch has some of the best-selling equestrian apps on the iTunes App Store, which have already been purchased in over 35 countries. They're available for the iPhone, iPad and iPod Touch. So visit equisketch.com/HRN for more information or search Equisketch in iTunes. Equisketch is dedicated to making your equestrian life mobile, one app at a time. Well, the World Cup finals this year, as I said, it's going to be a big event because there's so much going on over there, and even the young riders as well. Very, very exciting, very hotly contested competition as always. It's a very prestigious event, isn't it, Brett?
Yeah, it's a wonderful event. I was lucky enough to take part in last year's World Cup final, which was the 25th anniversary in Den Bosch, and I loved it. It's a special event because there's such a small number of competitors, and there's all the little cocktail parties and dinner parties around the event, and being such a small number, you feel very special. It was a great introduction for me coming out of Australia back into Europe, and just being, just associated with those group of people, and I come away from that show feeling a real camaraderie amongst the competitors, I must say. I really enjoyed the camaraderie, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun. So I'm a little bit jealous that I'm not there this year, but looking through the list, it's going to be pretty strong competition. Probably glad I'm not there. When I really look down the list, there's so many people that can win it. I mean, Adelinda Knellison with Parzival would have to go in as favourite. But then you've got a big group, Patrick Kittle with Scandic. I know he's been on absolute top form. Patrick's a good friend of mine, so I hear quite a bit how Scandic's going, and that horse is going from strength to strength under the mentoring of Chef Janssen. We've got Hans Peter with Nadine. She's a seasoned performer. Edward with Sister de Joux. Again, very, very hard to beat. We've got the Germans, Helen Langenhahnenberg with Responsible. Ulla Solskjaer with Hertzie, he's a great horse. We've spoken about him on the show. Mm-hmm. And then Isabel with Satchamo. I mean, once you put those people all in the same ring, anything can happen. It'll be interesting to see Richard Davidson with Hiscox Artemis. I mean, this will be the first major international event, World Championship, World Cup final and World Championship that Richard's been a part of with this horse. I know he's been bringing that horse on very steadily over the years, and this horse is now showing that he's ready to take on the rest of the top of the world. And then we have Natalie with Digby, another seasoned performer. Jeroen Devro with his horse. It's hard to pronounce, but Vivarov. And, Jeroen, you can't discount him either. So very tough field.
Any predictions there, Penny? When you hear of all those names, the cream of the cream there, they're going to be battling it out this week. Any predictions?
I'd have to stay with Parzival. I love watching her. Yeah, I love him. So, yeah.
What about you, Brett?
Yeah, look, I think Parzival has to win as favourite. I mean, Skandic, I think he will, if he's going as well as I know if he does as well as I know he can do, he could be right up there. Hertzroserba with Ulla. I mean, the X factor there is Ulla. She can just produce a test. She's the most amazing test rider. Edward with Sister, that's another one. I mean, she's a dynamic mare. Edward is just an amazing competition rider. So it'll be top. The top 5 could go in a number of ways, but I really can't see anyone going past Adelinda. But we saw at the World Equestrian Games that anything can happen, unfortunately, and that's the wonderful thing about sport, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is very unpredictable where horses are concerned. Anything can happen, as you say. But, Satchmo and Isabel have been going pretty well over this winter too. And you never count them out. I mean, they no doubt will be there in the final analysis. But, the Dutch seem to have the edge there in terms of nations. I know this isn't about nations. This is about individuals. And so, you've always got that friendly rivalry. It's a bit like Australia and New Zealand, isn't it, what happens between the Dutch and the Germans?
Yeah, I think when I look at the Dutch and the Germans, it's a long-standing rivalry, isn't it? And, there's a lot of things that go head-to-head there, not only the competitors, but the training systems and the fact that it's the breeding, there's a lot of things that go head-to-head there. And, competition produces success, and those two countries have a lot of competition. And, that's why they're the best in the world. It's no fluke that the best riders in the world all live within 2 or 3 hours of each other. And that's the reason why, because they're all there competing head-to-head, week in, week out.
And, of course, a long way on the other side of the world, you guys have a disadvantage geographically, of course, to be exposed to that level of competition. It doesn't mean, that you have to go to the Northern Hemisphere to get that kind of competition, match practice, if you will. And I know that you've been doing this, Brett. Penny, is this something that you aspire to? Or do you have the opportunity to go to the Northern Hemisphere and get this kind of competition practice?
No, I don't. I have kids, and I've chosen just to. I did it back when I was a little bit younger, in my 20s. I did a lot of riding in America and a little bit in Germany and some in England, but I just really aspire to be the best down here, down under, and really bring the sport on. I love coaching and I love competing. I must say that. I mean, if the opportunity did arise in the next couple of years, I'm sure my whole family would be behind me to take off to Europe. But we'll just play a little bit wait and see for probably another 6-7 months yet, and just see where this horse goes. Yeah.
When do you go back to Europe? Yeah. I'm sorry, Penny. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's a big test for him. He's never been in this huge atmosphere that he's going to have this week, so we just want to see how he copes with it all mentally and just see how we stack up against these Australians, and then we're just going to make a plan from there, really. This has been our goal for the last year to get to this event and really be on form, and so it's time to take stock next week.
Well, we're competition. As you say, you're hungry for competition as well. So you better watch out, Brett.
I know. I know. She's watching, and look, the work is looking very, very impressive. That's what I keep saying to her. If she gets too much closer to me, I'm going to have to start some mind games because she's looking very good in training.
And now, what about your plans to go back to Europe to get connected with the Lord of Loxley again? Do you have a schedule mapped out?
Since we spoke last time, I've now come up with a plan. I'm going to go back at the end of June and try to go to to Pompadour and Vierzon, 2 French CDIs, and then try to maybe get into Aachen, but that's a hard show to get into on an unproven horse. And then I'll try and finish my trip with the show in Hickstead. I know I'm into Hickstead, so I'll try and do those 4 shows. If I can't get into Aachen, I'll stay around an extra week and go to Verden in Germany actually 2 weeks after Hickstead, and I just really want to get a feeling for him in the competition arena and just know exactly what I've got there. Edward, as I said last time, was doing a fantastic job on him, and really the horse is coming on leaps and bounds all the time. But the one thing we haven't tested is competition practice and how he's going to be in atmosphere and the like. So that's why I want to do quite a lot of shows within a short period. The horse hasn't been to a show for at least 2 years. So we want to just test him in competition and just see how he goes. And then we'll know a bit more. I mean, Victory Salute we know. And then the plan for Victory Salute will be to try and get back next year, hopefully to the World Cup final, but if not, get back over there around February next year. And then we'll have Victory Salute and Lord of Loxley there competing and trying to make the team for London on both the horses. Or either of the horses, I should say, because you can't go on both. But, I mean, we've got a plan in mind if one is better than the other. So, you know, we're going to offer one of the horses to other Australian team members because we just don't have a pool. We do, but we don't have the strongest pool. And if I'm sitting on 2 great horses, and if one of those horses is disadvantaged because the other horse is better, we don't want to then take the other horse out of the mix. So we're trying to work on a plan on how we can offer that horse to another one of the Australian team members to go to London to try and see if we can get there with the strongest team.
All right. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the other entries that are coming to this weekend to the CDI in Sydney there at Horsley Park. But let's just take a quick commercial break before we do that. When horsemen were asked what they were looking for in a nutritional supplement, the answer was quite simple. That one that's affordable, effective, and easily proven. Kentucky Performance Products heard that message and developed supplements that meet those needs. All of their supplements, from Nalox, equine antacid to Summer Games electrolytes and joint armor, are formulated based on sound research. The important thing is that you can count on them to deliver results, and they're affordable. So to choose the right KPP supplement for your horse, visit kppusa.com or call 1-800-772-1988. And to learn more about horse nutrition and interact with the KPP experts, be sure to join their Facebook fan page. Well, Brett, obviously this Sydney CDI is the big one for you guys on the East Coast there, and it'd be interesting to hear your perspective now of the entries that you do have, given the level of competition down there. It's all relative, of course. So who are the big names there that we should be looking out for, apart from yourself and Penny? Okay,
well, Chantel Wiggin has had a wonderful start to the year. She's been the dominant force so far. She was based in Europe for the last 3 or 4 years and now has come home and she's been doing very well. So Chantel, you've got Mary Hanna, who's always strong. I mean, you can't discount Mary. She's always in the mix. You have Heath Ryan, Rosie Ryan. I would say Rachel Senna. I almost forgot Rachel. Sorry, Rachel. Rachel Senna is a very, very good competitor, and probably this is going to be her first show since Kentucky. So I went to a show 2 weeks ago, a little local show, just to get a feeling for Victory Salute in the competition arena. Rachel hasn't done that. This is her first competition, so she's taking a little bit more risk, but as we know with Rachel, she's probably the best competitor or one of the best competitors. She's the All the Souls giver of Australia as far as competition riding goes. And so you can't discount her either. So it should be quite competitive at the top end of it. And that's great. I mean, that's what we want, to bring on the sport here. And then you add in people like Penny and Vanessa Lay and those people into the mix. And that's what we need to do. We were talking earlier about competition breeding success, and we have to have that competition here to take the sport forward. So I'm hoping that it's a really competitive event, and we're all pushed to the limit, because that's what has to happen to take the sport forward.
Absolutely. Now, what sort of prize money would you be expecting at a CDI in that part of the world, and who would be your principal sponsors, Brett?
The prize money, I think we'd be looking, if you were to win all three, the Grand Prix and the Special and the Kerr, I think you'd probably come out of there with just a bit over $2,000. Some nice trophies. The principal sponsors, now that changes a little bit year in, year out, so I'm a bit reluctant to comment there. I know Hamilton Island has been a major sponsor over the years. I know Saddle World and some other saddleries have been, and Peter Horrobin's Saddlery and Bates, I shouldn't forget Bates, but I just don't know, to be honest, who is the major sponsor this year. I have a program here in front of me which states a lot of sponsors.
Yes, there's a whole family of them, isn't there? I'm not sure if there's any one principal, but there is quite a family of them, from Wild Oats to the Riders Shop, Musto, Kiefer, and Greystone, and Hamilton Island, and IRT, Zilko. We're going to miss somebody here. Horseland, of course, McCarroll's. It's a family of sponsors that you've built up there, or Tony has, of course, Tony Venhouse. Yeah, and look, a lot of those sponsors come from within the sport. There are a few, and look, I think it is healthy when sponsorship is derived from out of the sport as well. So the introduction of Hamilton Island and McCarroll's, which is a car dealership, CSG Print Services, and just some others that are outside of the industry is always healthy for the sport. Absolutely, and it does take it to a broader audience. Rachel is actually a record holder, is what I've heard for Sydney. So she'll of course be as competitive as ever, I'm sure, to retain that title. But no doubt you will be up there in the final analysis, Brett. Yeah, I'm hoping so. Rachel's won more Sydney CDIs than anybody else, and that's a real credit to her. She's been in the business for a long time and has been at the top for a long time. Ricky McMillan holds the record for the best freestyle score, and I think I hold the record for the best Grand Prix score. So I'd like to... Victory Salute is working as well as he's ever worked. I think he's actually working better than he was in Kentucky. He's just quicker. He's more, for some reason, just getting off the ground more. Everything is better. The only thing I'm lacking is competition practice and really someone to kick me into gear, because the horse is going better than ever, but I feel in my riding that I'm not really as sharp as I was when I was in Europe and when I had Edward and Nicole on my case to ride the best I can. So the horse is better, I'm worse, hoping for a decent result. Well, that just about sums it up, and I think we should certainly have Rachel on the show next time. Maybe you could have her come along and join us here, and we can compare notes after the Sydney CDI in a few weeks' time. Yeah, I sent her a quick text message this morning, and she's taking the kids to school, so all right. Next time I'll get her a little earlier. And okay. She's a wonderful competitor, Rachel, and a great friend of mine, and yeah, it'd be nice to have her on the show. Definitely be nice to have a show. But for now, I want to thank Penny, of course, Penny Castle, for joining us, and wish you the very best of luck at the Sydney CDI. Hope your horse lives up to the atmosphere and your expectations, and you take all that experience back to Kiwi and also help those eventers. They do need some help. Yeah. Thank you very much. All right, thanks for being with us. Well, before we wrap this up, I want to remind you all that the show notes, of course, are on dressageradio.com, where you can find a link to the Hallway Feeds app that enables you to listen to the show on the go on your smartphone. There's also a link there to an offer with Audible They have a free trial there at audible.com, so click on that link, and you can also do your shopping at Amazon directly from the website too. We have our Facebook fan page where you can stop by and leave your comments and questions there for us, and also follow us on Twitter at Chris E. Stafford or Horse Radio. And don't forget, if you have any comments, questions or suggestions, send those to me at chris@horseradionetwork.com. Well, Brett, that about wraps it up this week. Thank you so much for joining us. The very best of luck at the CDI this weekend.
Thank you, Chris. And I've got two big jobs. One is to do well at the Sydney CDI, and the other is to make sure these Kiwis don't give me too much trouble. So I'm going to have to be watching my back.
Absolutely. Well, good. Some good old friendly Trans-Tasman rivalry going on there. Always nice to have you on the show, Brett. We'll see you back here in a few weeks' time. And I will, of course, be back same time, same place next week. So until then, thank you all for listening.